Oh, right. Looks like we're good. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, guys? I think we're good. Let's just make sure. All right. So, I'm back here today, 2 days in a row. Who could have, uh, who could have thought, right? 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row. All right. So, I will join next week. Have you ever had somebody tell you they're gonna join next week? Give me a call next week, right? Um, let's, give me 14 days. Next payday, right? You ever had someone give you that? That's an objection. Is it an objection? Is it a legitimate excuse? Which one is it, right? So it's it's something that's rampant. You have people tell you that all the time, right? Even when you're prospect, even for some of you that are doing attraction marketing already, you've had people tell you next week, but you know what's gonna happen, right? They're not going to they're not coming in next week. Usually they won't. 99% chance they won't come in. Let me see if I can get this thing. Maybe I can use. Maybe this microphone is better. I think it's probably better, so you guys can hear me clearly. So again, I'm talking about somebody's telling you that they'll come in next week. Okay. Let's see here. Telling you that. Yep. They'll come in next week. Yep. So we're good to go. So they said, yeah, next week is where I'm going to join. Um, you don't really know if they mean it or not. But either way, either they mean it or not, it doesn't matter. Okay? 99% chance that they will not be joining next week. It's sometimes it's a snub off, sometimes it's a brush off, and sometimes life happens between now and next week, right? That's probably the one you should be scared of the most. If it's a brush off, so what? It's not a big deal, right? If you're doing business the way I teach, you should have so much stuff in your pipeline that it shouldn't. It really doesn't matter. Okay. Yep. You should have so much stuff in your pipeline. It really, honestly, wouldn't matter if they're coming next week or not. But if you have too much of that, people saying next week, if you have too much of that, uh, that's not good. Okay, that's not good. If you have too much people telling you that next week, and people are not getting started now, there's something you probably are doing wrong. Okay, and that's what I want to touch on in this live session with you. Um, so the only way you have this problem is you have enough stuff in your pipeline already. Okay, so if you don't, that's an audience issue. You don't have audience, right? Then you definitely need to pick up the book and get started from that because you need audience. Okay, but now we're talking about influence for a second, right? Everything happens, right? Even if you're already talking to your family and friends and they tell you they're going to join next week. So let me ask you a question, okay? No matter when you're watching this, just comment below. Have you ever had somebody tell you they would join next week before, right? Say yes, and if you can, please tell me the story of how it went. Tell me what ended up happening. Once in a while, people actually join later. Right? Once in a while, it happens, right? So I want you to share with me how did that go, right? I want you to share with me how did that go. Did they actually join next week? Are you one of those people? Maybe you try to call them, and and then like a week later they're not picking up the phone anymore. Did they actually pick up the phone and say, "Oh yeah," and then they say, give me till tomorrow? Have you ever had? Because some people are very good at it. They just keep pushing you forward. They say, "You know what? I'm at work right now. Oh, you know what? I'm at. Oh, you know what? Something came up." But another week later, if somebody cares about you enough, they will tell you enough times, right? Some people just don't care. They are, they're just gonna tell you off. Okay, so there are some people like that. So to be clear, all right, to be clear, you have to. There are three reasons. There are three reasons why that is probably happening to you. Okay, there are three reasons. And the first reason, you can see it in the description there. I put it there. You're attracting what you are. Okay. If you're a procrastinator, you will end up attracting what you are. It makes sense, right? Because they probably can tell from listening to you that you don't even believe in what you're doing to go all in. You got to go all in, no matter whatever that means in your business, in your company, whatever that means in your journey, in your entrepreneurship. You got to go all in. You can't afford to do this in a mediocre way. You can't, all right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to waste money. You're going to waste money, you're going to waste time, you're going to waste resources, and you're going to quit later. That's what's going to end up happening. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that. Okay, you're going to end up quitting on yourself. And that's not what you want, right? That's not what you bargained for, right? You wanted to build this all the way, right? That's what you wanted, right? So you don't want to position yourself in a way that you quit on yourself. So the first step to you attracting the kind of people that never go all the way in is if you're one of those people. Okay, now I'm talking ratios, I'm talking statistics, I'm talking on an average, right? So I've never really had problem on an average getting people to upgrade. I did in the beginning without the skills. When I didn't have the skills, when I wasn't positioned right, of course I did, of course, right? So, but it wasn't like that on day one. There was something that had to shift for me. And as a matter of fact, I remember vividly one of the first businesses that I started, I knocked on the guy's door and the guy just kind of like, he looked at me like disgustingly and just told me like, just get out of my house. I've had a few situations like that. I've had people actually join my business and then call me back 24 hours later to ask for the number to call so they can ask for refunds, right? And I've had people join the business, didn't do anything with it, and just looked at me funny, you know. Oh, by the way, I'm a little dressed up because I'm getting ready to go to church, but church doesn't start until 10:45, so I'll be leaving here around 10:30. It's about 15 minutes away from me. All right. So the first reason is because you're attracting what you are. You're not all in. If you're not all in, you will attract people that will never get all in. That's just what it is. And that's only fair because you're not all in. But the more logical reason to that is because people feel energy. People can feel that you're not all in. You know, your belief system has everything to do with this, right? Your belief system has everything to go all in with your business. Go whatever that means. Like, listen, if you are tippy-toeing around your business, people can feel that. They can feel that energy. And because of that, they're going to literally give you what you are. You're going to attract exactly what you are. It happens in all kind of different ways. Okay? So let's see here. One more. So as much as Facebook would like to let you know that they let people know when we're doing these things, but it's not true. They usually don't. They do, but it depends on the algorithm, depends on how consistent you are and all that kind of stuff. But in any way, so the first step is you got to become what you want to attract. If you want to attract more people that will go all in, that will upgrade, people that will join, you need to go all in, okay? Because that's going to affect your energy and your input into your systems as well too. Because systems need input. Like this computer in front of me right here, I have to input before it works. I have to use the keyboard, right? So computers generally, I would know, right? Computers generally, because I was a computer engineer by training, needs an input and then processing and output, right? So if you're not inputting computer, you have to input. Yes, computer will run on its own, processes stuff and process and then outputs for you, but it's based on your input. So when you type something on the screen, it processes it within microseconds and you see it on your screen, right? When I input into this camera right now, it's outputting on your end, right? Without me talking, you're not going to get an output. Now, the output can be leveraged, like people can watch this literally 100 times. Like yesterday's views has 106 views already, right? People can watch it over and over and over, but there needs to be an input. Does that make sense? So It's the same thing with your business. The energy, the inputs, the energy, the bandwidth, or the power, the horsepower of your input has everything to do with what you receive when you're prospecting. Okay, doesn't mean not, I'm not talking necessarily getting aggressive and say you must join now. Obviously, you can't do that. It's a little bit more skills to it than that, right? So if you find yourself attracting people that just won't upgrade, people that just won't join until next week. I'm going to join next week. You know they're not going to join next month. You know they're not going to do it. Half the time they're not going to do it. It's because you're attracting who you are. That's number one. Okay. Number two, it's the second reason why that's happening to you and your business is because you're not positioned right. Okay. You're not pre-framing people right. Okay. There are people in your pipeline. Okay. And depending on what kind of value you bring to their lives, also they value you. But it's a demand and supply issue as well too. If you're too available, you become less expensive. Okay, it just makes sense. If you supply too much of yourself, you become less expensive. If your demand is high, you become higher expensive, right? And that's the more reason why your pipeline must be full. The first step is to make sure you have a full pipeline. And the first way for full pipeline is what I shared with you on the previous video. So make sure you go watch that video about 10x in your business. Make sure you go watch that. I talked about how to fill your pipelines on steroids. Okay, because if you do that, you will have limited time for BS. Does that make sense? If you are too available for BS, then you're automatically pre-framing the mind of your prospect as well too, that you're available. Automatically you'll be available to spend 100 minutes with somebody that can't make a decision. Okay, automatically you end up with people that can't make a decision to spend $1, $2, $3, $5, $15,000 right now. You end up with people like that most of the time because they have more than enough excuses. There's oversupply of excuses. Legitimate excuses, by the way. So I'm not disputing that the excuses are not legitimate. That's not my dispute at all. As a matter of fact, I think all excuses are legitimate as far as I'm concerned. But all excuses do one thing too. Nobody moves forward. Nobody produces nothing. Nobody makes any money. Nobody is improving their lives. Nobody is investing to improve their lives. That's what excuses does. So as a leader, it's your responsibility to figure out what are you doing wrongly to position yourself in a way that people don't see the value in upgrading. So it goes back to the first one too. Again, if you're not all in, you're going to attract people that won't be all in. You will, okay? So, and of course, most of these compensation plans out here will not reward you properly if you're not all in. So you got to go all in, whatever that means in your company, okay? When it comes to your training, your skills, the opportunity you're involved in, right? You're training your skills as a marketer, right? And the time you have available. When I said yesterday 150 hours per month, or, you know, some people may have been scared. Well, here you go. This is what it takes for you. You're willing to do what it takes now so you can have the life that most people will not have later. Within the next 2-3 years. That's the whole point. Okay? So, are we making sense, guys? Are we making sense? All right. So, let me ask you again. In the comment below, if you could, please do me a favor. Share with me because I want to know what's going through your mind. Please do me a favor. Share with me what is going on with your prospecting. When you talk to people, are you getting a lot of people telling you they're going to join next week? Now, if you've had 5 people do that, how many of them actually joined? Okay, I am going to guess it's less than 2. Okay, I'm going to guess it's going to be less than 2. Okay, I'm going to guess that some of you are going to be 0. Everybody that's ever told you, as a matter of fact, many of you are going to be 0. Most people that tell you they're going to do it next week, call me back next week, next month, they're not going to do it, right? They're not going to do it. Not because they're being spiteful, it's because they didn't see the value in that instant. If they don't see the value now, what makes you think they're going to see the value next week? What makes you think that the little value that's in there for them to even listen to you right now will not decline and diminish over the next week or month? Of course, right? So now the third reason why people do that to you here. By the way, I covered this in details in the book as well. So make sure you get the book if you don't have the book. Okay. You don't have the old school skills to handle such objection. Okay, so there are old school skills involved in these things. Okay, yeah, there are old school skills involved that you can handle objection. There are certain things you can say to people and will get them to start now. Well, here's my thing. I don't really invest much energy in that kind of stuff. Okay, I have an idea of what you can say to get people to start. Things like, is there any other reason why you went outside of the money? All those kind of things, right? I don't invest much energy into that. I'd rather invest my energy into filling my pipeline, okay? Because again, the whole point of this game for me is really, it's really, really leverage, okay? Leverage is really the time with my family, okay? The whole point of this is time with my family, leverage. Like using less resources as possible to get as big as possible. Okay. Now clearly you're gonna need some resources, right? But using as less as possible to get the biggest returns on my efforts. Okay. So that's why I wanted to be clear about that. The moment you come to a stage where you feel like you must stay in 1963, you will always lose. Okay? I hate to use the word lose, but I need you to get it. Okay? Because the truth is that if you are a quitter, if you quit on yourself, you just lost money, right? So I don't mean loser in a derogatory way. I mean, you just lost money. You just lost resources, money. You got nothing for your efforts. Okay? But I feel like you can do better than that. By filling your pipeline. So filling your pipeline is also part of positioning. Okay. So now the third reason is because you don't have the old school skills. Well, the average person will be quick to tell you they're not a salesperson. Okay. So if you're doing so much work trying to sell them, guess what you're transplanting into their brain? You're telling them they have to do the same thing, essentially. Okay. That's what you're doing. You're telling them they will have to do the same thing. Who wants to sell so much before they make a buck? Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. Okay? Nobody wants to do that. So if you are doing that to a person, you're essentially training them that they're going to have to do that. Okay? And you don't have to do that. All right? You don't have to do that. All right? So positioning is everything in this game. Okay? Imagine if you're in a position where you have simple pre-qualification steps that you spend your time with the people that are ready to upgrade. Okay. Well, how can you acquire such skills that you can put something like that together? You have to be willing to invest in yourself, time, possibly money, and you have to learn the skills. Okay. It's a skillful thing to do, where sales is not really sales. Sales is people doing, like Franklin would say, doing collaborative closing. Like you're not really closing them. They're closing themselves because there's so much value. It just makes complete sense. Okay? It's really that attraction marketing thing. When you give so much value and you're talking to the right prospect, because you can't be, value is from the standpoint of the other person, not you. Okay? It's from the standpoint of the other person. Okay? It's from their perspective. Okay? So you have to be thinking you have to put yourself in their shoes. If you did that, you can't do that all the way 100%, but you do as much of it you can. And then you see, can I see value? You have to be able to read. And sometimes that's called market research. Okay? What can I give to the marketplace, at least from a level of information? Okay? Information is the best way to do it, because it's really about you investing in yourself. One time you have the intellectual property and you can now share with the world. And now your value just went this big, right? If you're giving so much value, number one, your pipeline will get filled, right? And then you will have less time for BS. And then you're now positioned to a place where you don't attract people that are not all in type of mentality. You got to go all the way in. I've been guilty of thinking I can use leverage to replace that. I have to be honest with you. Leverage cannot replace going all in. Okay? Well, yeah, but I can just start and then make money first before. It doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, everybody will be doing it, right? Everybody will be doing it. All right? let me get some results first. Really? If I could do that, I won't need you. Right? I would just go sit on the beach somewhere and just put a hey, just get result first and then make money later. That's a Ponzi scheme. What that is a Ponzi scheme. And that's not what we do. What we do is we bring true value to a marketplace. That means as an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to invest time, possibly money, into your skills, your knowledge, right? Just know how to step by step, A to Z. Let me start. What do I need? I need people. I need a product. You already have a product. Chances are you have a product if you're listening to this, right? And you need the right process. The right process. How do you figure out the right process? Investing time into learning how to put the right process together. And you can hire people to put it together for you too, but you need to know what you're hiring people for. You need to have an idea of what you're hiring people for. People lose money like that. They just go hire nobody and they worry about how come, because you never took the time to learn the skills. Ordinary simple email, say send one email per day, takes you 10 minutes. People have a difficult time doing that. They have a difficult time writing one email per day. They can't even give a simple 10, 20 minutes, read a chapter and share that, and then they complain, right? So if you're doing that, how do you expect to attract the type of customers and prospects? Because when you serve them, you make money. Okay, when you serve them, you make money. There's no money unless you're giving value. Does that make sense? So those are the three reasons why you're attracting people that says, I will join next week. I will join in a month. Those are the real problem right now. You're not all in. You're not all the way in. You're not all the way in. You cannot use leverage to replace that. I'm going to come to the table. Listen, leverage, your best leverage is going all in. Let me say that right now. Your best leverage is going all in with your company, going all in, being at all the events, doing everything, and then you adjust as you move along. If something is not working, you replace it with something else. Don't just remove it, right? For example, inside of the book, I'm going to share with you some tips that's going to help you, but it's going to be replacing something because it's going to work faster for you. But don't just say something doesn't work and then you go back to your regular life. You're human. Life will happen. And then you blame yourself later because you're not involved as much as you should be involved. Okay? So again, those are the three things right there. Number one, you're attracting you. Number two, you're not well positioned. Number three, you don't know the old school tactics. You don't need to know the old school tactics. They're old school for a reason. Okay? You don't need to know how to say the right thing so that they can overcome the objection. I really think it's really crap these days. Overcoming objection these days is value. Can that person see value so much that you don't need to overcome any objection? Can they do that? It's cool. It's cute. It's really cute to learn the objection handling stuff. I know them. I use them. But I don't depend on them. As a matter of fact, most of the money I've made has not come from objection handling. It's come from the proper positioning, leverage, legacy, learning, pipeline, filled up pipeline. And that's what you're going to learn inside of Network Marketing 2.0, the book. So make sure you get your copy if you haven't. If you got your copy already, connect with me. I would love to connect with you. And because there's a bunch of you here that I need to connect with that I haven't connected with. So please reach out to me and let's have a conversation about this. If you want to get your copy, there's a link in the description. Take advantage of it. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.